and video. And this is plastic pollution. Our planet is drowning in plastic pollution. This World Environment Day, it's time for a change. While plastic has many valuable uses, we have become addicted to single use or disposable plastic. With severe environmental consequences. Around the world, 1 million plastic drinking bottles are purchased every minute, while up to 5 trillion single use plastic bags are used worldwide every year. In total, half of all plastic produced is designed to be used only once and then thrown away. Plastic waste is now so ubiquitous in the natural environment that scientists have even suggested it could serve as geological indicator of the Anthropocene era. So how did we get here? From the 1950s to the 1970s, only a small amount of plastic was produced. So plastic waste was relatively manageable. By the 1990s, plastic waste generation had more than tripled in 2 decades. Following a similar rise in plastic production, in the early 2000s, our output of plastic water rose more in a single decade than it had in the previous 40 years. Today we produce more than 300 million tons of plastic waste every year. That is nearly equivalent to the weight of the entire human population. Researchers estimate that more than 8.3 billion tons of plastic has been produced since the early 1950s. About 60% of that plastic has ended up in either a landfill or the natural environment. We are seeing some other worrying trends. Since the 1950s, the rate of plastic production has grown faster than that of any other material. We have also seen a shift away from the production of durable plastic and towards plastics that are meant to be thrown away after a single use. More than 99% of plastics are produced from chemicals derived from oil, natural gas, and coal, all of which are dirty, non renewable resources. If current trends continue, by 2050, the plastic industry could account for 20% of the world's total oil consumption. We need to slow the flow of plastic at its source. But we also need to improve the way we manage our plastic waste, because right now a lot of it ends up the environment. Only 9% of all plastic waste, only 9% of all plastic waste ever produced has been recycled. About 12% has been incinerated, while the rest, 79%, has accumulated in landfills, dumps, or natural environment. Cigarette butts, whose filters contain tiny plastic fibers, were the most common types of plastic waste found in environment in a recent global survey. Drink bottles, bottle caps, food wrappers, grocery bags, drink lids, straws, and stirrers were the next most common items. Many of us use these products every day without even thinking about where they might end up. Rivers carry plastic waste from deep into inland to the sea, making them major contributors to ocean pollution. A staggering 8 million tons of plastic end up in the world's oceans every year. How does it get there? A lot of it comes from the world's rivers, which serve as direct conduits of trash from the world's cities to the marine environment. These 10 rivers alone carry more than 90% of the plastic waste that ends up in the oceans. Indus, Changjiang, Huanghe, Hahi, Nile, Meghna, Brahmaputra, Ganges, Zhejiang, Amur, Niger, Mekong. Plastic waste, whether in a river, an ocean, or on land, can persist in the environment for centuries. The same properties that make plastic so useful. Their durability and resistance to degradation also make them nearly impossible for nature to completely break down. Most plastic items never fully disappear, they just get smaller and smaller. Many of these tiny plastic particles are swallowed by farm animals or fish who make who mistake them for food and thus can find their way onto our dinner plates. They have also been found in majority of the world's tap water by clogging sewers and providing breeding grounds for mosquitoes and pests. Plastic waste, especially plastic bags, can increase the transmission of vector borne diseases like malaria. If current trends continue, our oceans could contain more plastic than fish by 2050, while the United States, Japan, and many European countries generate significant amounts of plastic waste. They are also relatively good at managing it. About half of all the plastic waste that ends up in oceans comes from just five countries: China, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. These countries are experiencing rapid economic growth, which is reducing poverty rates and improving the quality of life for hundreds of millions of people. But as these economies grow, consumption booms. And so does the use of plastic goods. The global volume of plastic waste continues to grow, and some of the biggest producers don't manage their waste effectively. But the world is waking up to the problem, and governments are starting to act. There are a number of things that governments can do, from running public awareness campaigns to offering incentives for recycling to introducing levies or even banning certain products outright. In the last decade, dozens of national and local governments around the world have adopted policies to reduce the use of disposable plastic, and the number continues to grow. Africa stands out as the continent where the most countries have adopted a total ban on the production and use of plastic bags. One of the 25 African countries that have banned the bags More than half have done so in the last 4 years alone. As impressive and growing, number of national and local governments have taken action against plastic pollution. We have seen a lot of positive action, but the truth is that we all need to do more.